Morning ISKL. Hello, I'm your anchor woman Jun Tan.
And I'm your anchor man Henry Shergan.
Welcome to the second episode of Pantherpause.
Today is day one on a relatively normal Friday.
We hope the first few weeks back to school have been pleasant.
Last Pantherpause, we spoke to the coaches about their pre-IASIS thoughts.
Let's take a look at what the coaches have to say about the results of IASIS.
I'm here with the coach of the varsity tennis team, Mr. Sampson. How was the competition level at IASIS? I've heard that it's extremely high and there's really good tennis played.
I think you're right. I think the competition is a very high level, both boys and girls, and getting better. In the 6 or 7 years I've been at the school, I'm amazed at really how good the kids are, and we're getting better, but so is everybody else.
Well, the first game you played against Jakarta, you guys had a draw. So how'd you guys get together and win against them the second time?
Yeah, it was a good match. The first game of the whole tournament. Yeah, we were disappointed with the draw. We were 10 points up, but try up a couple of times in that match. They fought back and did very well. Murray kicked some good conversions to keep us in there. It was pretty easy to get up. We had lost the final before in last year, and we knew we were a better team than they were, so there was no problem motivating the boys for that final.
So do you have anything else you'd like to add?
If in doubt, just come and play rugby. Thank you.
Thank you.
How do you and your team feel about how you have done during the IASIS competition?
I think both me and the team feel the same way. We feel pretty good about it. Again, we had a small boys team this year, so just mathematically speaking, it was difficult to get anything other than 6th place. And the girls this year, as I said before, I didn't want to speculate, but I knew it was going to be a battle between 3rd and 4th, and it turned out we were solidly in 3rd place for the entire meet. We had a strong day on the first day, which left us tied for 2nd, tied for 3rd, but we were solidly in 3rd place for IASIS.
Do you have any plans for the future to better prepare for IASIS?
We do. Number one on that list is getting more guys to come out. If you can swim, we want you.
Mr. Charman, how do you and your team feel about the games that have happened during IASIS? And what was your biggest challenge? Do you feel like the competition was too rough? What are your thoughts on that?
Firstly, I thought we had a great tournament. Boys really worked hard. Certainly beating Manila was certainly a high point. Losing Shenyang to a ACL injury is obviously our lowest point, and that really did make a massive difference on our playoff games. Without Shin, it was a struggle, but people stepped up. Certainly people like Rick took his opportunity and played very, very well. And the boys worked hard. Certainly I feel they can be very proud of their performances, and I've certainly enjoyed our weekend. It was very good.
What are some positives you can take from the results of IASIS?
Wow, we had the whole weekend was positive. The girls had faced a lot of adversity, and they were able to overcome lots of adversity. We had 5 teams, including ourselves, that were trying to vie for that championship. We had a couple injuries that we had to battle through. The basketball that we played was outstanding. We got better as the tournament went along. The girls were wonderful off the court. They were nominated for Spirit of IASIS just based on who they are as individuals and as a team. That collective coming together to reach a common goal was very powerful, and so it was the whole tournament was outstanding.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Congratulations to all of the teams. You guys did us Panthers proud.
Fire!
Whoa, why'd you say that?
Freedom of speech, June. I can say whatever I want in a democracy.
Is that really what freedom of speech means? Shouldn't there be limits on that freedom? Is democracy really that great of a political system?
Let's see what Mr. Martin and Mr. Fisher have to say about this idea.
The question is, should there be limits on freedom of speech in a democracy? I think in a democracy, of course, there has to be some limits. You can't falsely scream out fire in a theater or people are going to get hurt. Similarly, you can't specifically target a group with violence and aggression and direct hatred towards them. That's called hate speech. That's just not on or acceptable in a democracy. However, it is extremely important in a liberal democratic system that freedom of speech is protected, and we must take a very wide view of that. Just because someone might be offended by something someone else says does not automatically mean that whatever that person is saying should be censored and not be allowed to be spoken.
So in a democracy, should freedom of speech be absolutely free?
Well, I think about as absolute as you possibly can make it, because otherwise it makes a mockery out of the idea of freedom of speech. Freedom means no limits, no barriers, no margins. People should be allowed to say whatever it is that they want to say. You know, there are arguments like you can't scream fire in a crowded theater. I think that there are probably limits that rational people can agree to because that kind of speech causes immediate and recognizable harm. But in the sense that should there be limits on speech that causes somebody discomfort or makes somebody uncomfortable or is insulting? Absolutely not. That's the point of free speech in a democracy. We need to make people feel uncomfortable, and we need people to be able to talk about a variety of subjects, and I think as broadly as we can define freedom as possible, that's the way it should be.
Now let's have a look at what the students have to say.
Abby, do you think democracy requires freedom of speech?
Yes, I think that democracy requires freedom of speech because I think in order for a democratic society to work effortlessly, then everybody needs to have their say on how the country's governed.
Do you think too much freedom of expression is a bad thing?
I definitely think that people should think through what they're saying before they go ahead and say it, and that it's actually beneficial for like the whole population instead of just themselves, and what they're saying is actually adequate. So I think it should be limited by oneself and not the government.
Thank you, Mr. Martin and Mr. Fisher, for your insightful comments on democracy and freedom of speech.
And on the topic of speaking, SEA Forensics is well underway.
Forensics is a club where students debate or speak about a certain event or topic, and also use theatrics to display a message.
Henry, do you know about the upcoming holidays?
Yes, in fact, I've made a poem. Roses are red, violets are blue. Chinese New Year is coming up soon.
What about Valentine's Day?
Oh yeah, that's happening too.
Well, that's it for this episode of Pantherpods. I'm your anchor woman, June Tan.
And I'm your anchorman, Henry Shergan.
Have a good day, ISKL.